Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Let's Talk video. We're going to talk about Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This is going to be my review of this book from Wizards of the Coast. Now, I do want to say that this is going to be a review. It might be considered a first impressions because I haven't actually started running this book, but I have read it. I've read through it, skimmed it, I should say. I've skimmed it. I've only had it for about a week now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of go over the bullet points of this book, and what I'd like you to do is if you are a player and your dungeon master is planning on running this or anything out of this book, you should probably not watch this video because there will be a lot of spoilers. If you are a dungeon master and you want to learn about this book, or should I buy it, or is it going to be valuable for your campaign, then of course continue to watch this video. All right, first of all, I think you get good value out of this book. I think this book is one of the thickest books that I've gotten from 5th edition. This book is well over 318 pages. It's over 318 pages, and it is 23 levels of a dungeon as well as a city. You get the information for Skullport, which is basically a underground city. Plus you get the Hallister's dungeon under Mountain, which is under Waterdeep. And you get his 23 levels and the denizens and the maps and everything for those 23 levels. Can you imagine 23 dungeon levels in a book? Okay. Backing up, that's all it is. It is not a campaign book. This is not something that you would base your campaign around. You have to have backstories, you have to have existing characters, you have to have motivations, and maybe some adventures outside of this dungeon to make this Dungeon of the Mad Mage work for your adventuring party. You should consider this book a source book for your Forgotten Realms campaign. It is under the mountain at Waterdeep. Right? So this is not, let's start at level 1, clear out the first level of the dungeon, go to the second level of the dungeon, clear it out, go to the third level of the dungeon, clear it out, go to the fourth level of the dungeon. That's not what this book is. Some of these dungeon levels don't need to be connected. They are completely separate entities. There are quests and missions, if you want to call them. There are quests to go to certain dungeon levels and do something in that dungeon level and return without exploring the rest of the dungeon. That's not what this book is for. You can also take a level of this dungeon and put it somewhere else in your world. That's perfectly fine. But there is kind of a connecting story with these dungeon levels. So I would recommend keeping it as written. But but you can do what you want. You're the referee, right? Okay, so let's talk about how you might incorporate this into your campaign, right? I've got Dungeon of the Mad Mage up on the screen here. There is a number, okay, right there. The table of contents, right? Okay, the table of contents, you can see you've got your overview right there, the dungeon key and the overview from 5 to 10. It basically talks about the history, running the adventure, some hooks to give to your players, and then it goes to the levels. You got level 1 through 23. The 23 is the Mad Wizard's Lair. Now, each of these dungeon levels have a common theme. You have what dwells here. Basically, it talks about all the different types of creatures, who the leader is on that dungeon level, what their motivations are and stuff like that. It talks about what is there. Then it talks about exploring the level. Exploring the level pretty much breaks down every room in the dungeon and what is there. Like what is in that room. I get 5 gold pieces and a goblin or whatever, right? And then the aftermath is like what might happen if that dungeon level gets cleared. Your goal is not to clear the dungeon. It won't take you from level 5 to 20 if that's all you're doing. If all you're doing is clearing this one dungeon and nothing else, you shouldn't advance to level 20. It expects you to go clear 1 or 2 levels and return to the city, maybe get a mission to go to, Neverwinter or something, and then come back, and then maybe you get another quest to go to a couple of different levels. You go down there, do something, come back. Then maybe you get a mission to go to Fandelver or something. You go there, you come back. And then so this is, think of it like almost downtime. These dungeons, they're not though, but like these dungeons should be run in between your normal campaign adventures. You can make this the basis of your own campaign, like this, like you plan. You got a mission to go down there and clear it all out. It's not going to happen, guys. You're not going to do that. And if you are, you have to do it in chunks. You have to do a couple of levels, go back to the surface with whatever treasure you have gotten, rearm, re-equip, more healing potions, more rations, whatever, and then go back down. You're not going to be able to go down there with enough rations to go through 20 levels, 23 levels. Okay. Right. Okay. Now, Skullport. That's pretty cool. It's a whole city basically underground, and it's all the way in the back of the book. It's 303. Let me jump to 303 page. All right. Now there's 300. There is Skullport, and then there's different ways to get to it. Through the sea caves, through the Undermountain. Now, Skullport's connected to level 3 of the Undermountain. Okay? Not 1 and 2. And it tells you how to get there from the sea caves, which are on the Sword Coast. Because you can actually take a boat like into the side of the cliff of the Sword Coast, and it goes into, under Waterdeep, into the Skullport. Okay, and basically it's an immense cavern with a big city inside of it. And there's Skull Island, and here we go. Like there's Skull Island and a couple of different maps right there of Skullport. Okay, so Skullport is... basically, it's run by Xanathar. So, Xanathar is the beholder that runs the Xanathar Guild up in Waterdeep. And he's not far away from Waterdeep. He's in Skullport. He's got a couple of levels to go through, or he can take the sea caves, whatever. He's got minions that do that. He doesn't do that. That's one way you can tie it into the characters, is that they maybe have dealings with the Xanathar Guild, or maybe Xanathar wants something for the players. Okay, now what was kind of in, this is something disappointing, but what I suspected this book was for was Waterdeep Dragon Heist was levels 1 through 5, and then Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the successor, the second book in the Waterdeep series, was going to be from 5 to 20, and they were going to be intertwined, but they're absolutely not. These are 2 separate books. The Waterdeep Dragon Heist, great. I love the adventure. It brings you from 1st to 5th pretty quickly, and it gives you some insight into how the Waterdeep's running and some of the guilds and religions and all that stuff. Great. Then what? Right? It's at the end. It's like, okay, you have a big party and it's over. You got 1 billion gold pieces. Now what do? You continue your adventuring, right? You go out and about. But then in this book, there are some characters that you might have met in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. You might not have, but some of these characters are coming to the players at this point and asking them to do quests. They're not saying go into the Undermountain and clear it out. That's not their quests. Their quests are, if you plan to go to Undermountain, not like please go to Undermountain. It's like, if you're going to Undermountain, could you look for my brother? Or if you're going to the Undermountain, find me a magic item and I'm willing to buy it, because I'm collecting magic items. Or quests like that. It's not, they're not all like, go down there and clear out or kill the dragon, or go down there and take over for Hallister. You're not going to do that. Hallister's a super powerful wizard, and there's a bunch, and he's got so many things going for him. There's no way players are going to take him out. But in most campaigns, you say that, and then the players do it. But what I'm trying to say is, don't run this as your basis of your campaign. Make sure you've got something else going on that sends you down there to do something and allow the players to come back up and then reap the benefits of whatever they just did and then go on other quests. And so this book would last you a long, long time. Plus, you can reuse this book through many campaigns. You might have one campaign where the guys only go through like 4 or 5 levels of the dungeon. Well, what about the other 20 levels? Well, in your next campaign, maybe you've got a quest to go into one of these other levels. So this book can be used over and over in different campaigns, or, depending on how your players feel, you might be able to push them into this over and over and over to clear out the dungeon. But that's not your goal. And when you clear out a whole section of a dungeon, it's not going to be a ghost town. When the players leave or go to another level or go somewhere else, it's going to repopulate. And so people are monsters or Githraki or mind. Okay, look at the cover. You got Githraki, Drow, Mind Flayers, Xanathar back here in the back. That's actually not Xanathar. That's one of the undead beholders. So any one of those guys, liches, dragons, whatever, they're going to want to occupy this empty area of the dungeon. They're going to take over the space. So it's always going to refill. Maybe not at fast, or however you want to pace your campaigns. But so I know I've jumped all over the place, and I didn't really do a very good job of my first impressions of this. But let me say this. As a referee, you can't use this. You cannot use this as the basis, as the ground basis of your campaign. This is a supplement. This adds to your existing campaign. It isn't the campaign. So if you are planning on running a campaign, like in Waterdeep, that's fine. You can use this because you're going to be able to send them down through the yawning portal or whatever into the dungeon. And that's great. And now you know what's in the dungeon with this book. But don't think that it's all you need, because it's not. You need to have a backstory. You need to have some campaign. You need to have some motivation for your characters to go about doing things and sending them down. It only gives you a handful of quests. And now it does have, stepping back, it does have a few quests not to give to the players until they've accomplished something in here. So like maybe you go down here and kill X. When you return, somebody will say, I noticed you've killed X. Would you please go back down there and kill Y? And they won't give you that quest until X is dead. You know what I'm saying? So this can be used as a add-on to your existing campaign. That's where the difficulty comes in. Dragon Heist, great. Undermountain, great, but it's not a campaign. Dragon Heist, you can use it as the beginning of a campaign. But from 5th to 20th, you need to have something going on. You need, as a referee, you've got to think outside the box. You need to fill in the gaps between the dungeons, basically, between the levels. You've got to fill that time up. And that's all I'm going to have to say. So Come back in a few minutes. I'm going to upload another video of something that I'm going to talk about. Let me say this. There is a supplement you can get with this called the Maps of, or the Dungeon Mad Mage Map Pack or something like that. And I'm going to do a review on that. So come back and check that out.